This isn't going to be a super in-depth tutorial, but I wanted to make a quick explanation video of the RNG manip that I created so that other people can try to follow the same route if they want. In this game, RNG advances once when Kirby makes a star by hitting a surface, and it advances multiple times when he inhales. The goal is to make the RNG be values that give favorable enemy patterns, especially for the bosses. A lot of the movement is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to point out the stars that you need to pay attention to. You want the last star before grabbing the warp star to be straight down. If it's to the left, jump once after landing and the star should be down right. If it's not down right, then jump one more time. For Poppy Bros Sr., you have to inhale at specific times. For the first bomb, start inhaling as soon as it leaves his grasp. For the second bomb, start inhaling when it's directly above his head. You can set up a task spit here by pressing down while moving after spitting the bomb out, but most task spits aren't necessary for the manip, they just save time. For the last bomb, you just want to inhale it as close to Kirby as possible and then immediately spit it back out. You don't have to get this close to Poppy Bros Sr., it's just faster. If you don't jump towards the bomb, you do want to jump after spitting it out. You want an upright star here, but if you spawn one to the left, that's fine, you'll just skip a couple jumps later on. This is one of the jumps you would skip if your star was to the left. You would skip this jump as well. Before the wispy fight, you want to see stars down, down, and down right, so you may need to jump a couple extra times or avoid hitting a couple surfaces to make that happen. Inhale once after the first apple spawns, and then you want to inhale the first 3 apples as close to Kirby as possible. RNG advances multiple values when you inhale, but it should only advance a single time when inhaling the first 3 apples. I find it easiest if I let the apples bounce once before inhaling them. For the next 2 apples, you want to be standing underneath them and inhale slightly earlier than for the first 3. You can set up a task spit for the last apple if you want, but you don't want to hit the ground after jumping for it. If you do hit the ground, you can fix it by not jumping at the start of the next level. In this room, I hold down so I don't make a star when jumping on the mic platform. This star should be to the right, but there are multiple rightward stars in a row, so if you messed up, you might still get a rightward star even though you're on the wrong value. If you want to avoid taking damage here, you can just drop straight down, but you have to make sure to inhale the box as close to Kirby as possible. Wait until Lololo spawns to jump up to the top, inhale the box as close to Kirby as possible once again, and then jump again after inhaling the box. Setting up a task spit here is optional but faster. After defeating Lololo, inhale once and then jump 7 times. If you prefer, you can inhale twice instead. Just know that you'll be 1 RNG value too far when exiting this room and then 2 RNG values too far after inhaling the curry. You'll want to make 2 stars in this room, but if you only end up making 1, you can bonk against the side of the stairs in the next room to fix it. If you're 1 RNG value too far, you'll get the same pattern here, except you have to go left first and then right. I think if you're 2 RNG values too far, you get this pattern, but I don't remember for sure. You can line Kirby's foot up with the edge of this platform and face right so that Kirby lands directly on the spot where he starts dancing. If you are 1 RNG value too far in the last level, don't do this jump. Even if you do the exact same movement every time in this room, you might not always end on the exact same value. However, I almost always get one of 2 values and both work. If the first 2 stars are this pattern, or I believe left and then down left, you should be fine to inhale the next Kabu. For this part, just make sure to press up after hitting the floor, and you should be able to avoid the spikes and keep your height. Starting at this point, it doesn't matter too much the exact RNG value that you're on. You just have to be in the ballpark so you can get on the right one before fighting Kabula. It is possible to make the jump over this shot so without taking damage, but I usually get hit here. As long as you have at least 3 health, you shouldn't die on Kabula if you can get the right pattern. The pattern of stars you want to look for here is right, left, up right, and down left. However, the 5 stars directly before those are right, left, upright, down right, and down. So be careful you don't see that pattern and think you're on the right value. You need to make sure the last star is down left and not straight down. That being said, even if you have the wrong RNG value for the Kabula fight, as long as you don't die, you can probably fix it during the Krako Jr. fight. For Kabula, you want to stay away from the cannon to avoid the first few attacks, and then you can take damage for the rest of the fight. Bubbly clouds is another place where you can do different movement or make mistakes and still probably be able to fix it as long as you have enough HP. Here I jump right when Kirby passes the edge of the last ridge on the cloud platform. That makes it pretty consistent for me. You'll need at least 4 HP for Krako, so you can take damage up to 2 times and still be fine. Here I look for the stars to spawn up, down, up, and I'll know I can get into the door without the Bronto Burt hitting me. For this room, I know a lot of people like to do different movement. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as you don't radically advance RNG. I find it much easier to maneuver through this room if you don't jump before floating. If you move just right, you can also prevent the last mask from spawning so it doesn't get in the way, but it's hard to do that consistently. You'll often be able to at least squeeze in front of it like I did here. Krako Jr. is the perfect place to recalibrate your RNG. If you think you're too far ahead, don't jump until the last hit or two, and if you think you're way behind, you have plenty of time to jump and maybe even inhale if you think you're really far behind. To know I'm on the right value, I look for a bunch of downward stars followed by down left and then left before doing the first hit. The next stars are right, down, left, so once you see left, stop jumping. You can set up a task bit here, and then the last 3 stars you want to see are up left, down right. Don't inhale this power up, and make sure to start moving right before you touch it, or you won't be able to move right for a second after grabbing it. The last 3 stars you want to see here are down, down right, and then down left. You want down left to be the last star before grabbing the curry in the next room, so if you see it in this room, make sure to hold down in the next room so you don't spawn any stars. If you're in this room with a down right star, then don't hold down so you do spawn the down left star in the next room. In this room, unfortunately, it's easy to just get unlucky, but as long as you go as fast as you can and never run into the star blocks, you should be able to end on a workable RNG value. Make sure to hold down as you run off this edge so you don't make a star when hitting the ground. In this room, you want to bonk against this wall, and if you make a star directly to the right, you want to advance RNG 3 times total. In any other case, you want to advance RNG 5 times total. Here my star was upright, so I'm going to advance RNG 5 times. The bonk itself is 1 RNG advancement, and killing enemies also advances RNG 1 time. In this case I took out the Waddle Dee and the Waddle Doo, so that would count as 2 and 3. I land on the ground for 4 and jump for 5, and then after you advance RNG the prescribed number of times, inhale twice and jump 1 more time. This Krako fight is pretty tricky, but it can be consistent with enough practice. For the first Waddle Doo, you want to start inhaling when it's about halfway between Krako and the top of the dais in the background. Start holding left as you're inhaling, turn and jump so that Kirby's back is right to the edge of the dais, and spit the Waddle Doo so that it hits Krako directly after he finishes his charge. Immediately start mashing B to inhale once, then inhale again as soon as the Waddle Doo hits the ground. If you're a little bit farther to the right, you want to start inhaling a little before the Waddle Doo hits the ground, and if you're more to the left, you want to start inhaling a little bit after it hits the ground. Jump over Krako and hit him with the Waddle Doo before he finishes his charge, but hold down so you don't make a star when landing. The timing for inhaling the next Waddle Doo is pretty generous. You don't want it to be too close to you, but also not too far away. If you're standing around here, you should start inhaling right about the time the Waddle Doo's foot crosses in front of the top of the dais. Jump over Krako and make sure to hit the ground before he finishes his charge, and then jump and hit him with the Waddle Doo before he spawns another one. Do an inhale cancel by pressing B and then immediately pressing up to stop inhaling. This should also prevent you from making a star when landing on the ground. Walk up and inhale this Waddle Doo as close as possible, and then position yourself in between the background pillar and the dais. After Kracko starts to charge, do a short jump, hit him, land, and then inhale the Waddle Doo when it's about this far away from you. Jump and hit Kracko with the 5th Waddle Doo, and then move to the center of the room and start inhaling just after the last Waddle Doo spawns. Wait for Kracko to get close to the center before finishing him off, but not so close that you get a slow load after Kirby's victory dance. As you may have noticed, I've been showing the RNG values I've been getting during the run. So if you're practicing on emulator, you can check to make sure you're getting the correct RNG values at the right times. If you're on the correct RNG value, when Kirby's sliding on his face, the last 3 stars should go up left, straight left, and then up left. If you don't see those stars, you can try to fix it. Like for example, if you only saw the up left and straight left stars, you could jump one more time before entering the door to try and fix the RNG value. Doing the movement in this room is kind of difficult, but it is consistent as long as you do it correctly. This first inhale should pretty much be as close to low as possible without taking damage. Getting this next hit damageless is pretty difficult, but if you can do it, make sure to do a quick inhale cancel before the next cycle starts. Once again, you should inhale pretty much as close to low as possible, and then stand about on this tile and do another inhale cancel before the last cycle starts. You can set up a task bit here for the quickest possible kill, but you don't have to do that as long as you inhale Lalala's crate very close to Kirby. Usually I would jump a little shorter here and hit the ground, spawning another star, but this value works as well. Only do this inhale if you're going to do the Gordo skip like I do. If you do try to do that, start floating right as you draw even with this enemy here, and then exhale right about when Kirby's feet touch the fence in the background, and then just hold up. You're looking for a downright and then an upright star, but if you had hit the ground at the end of the last fight like I mentioned, the first star would be upright so you wouldn't have to jump at all. If you do destroy the Gordo instead of skipping past it, do a quick inhale cancel in midair, and then look for the downright and upright stars. Stand directly in the middle of this dais facing left, and then do a full jump as soon as Kracko reaches his highest point. Do a short hop over him so you make a star before he finishes his charge. Start inhaling the Waddle Doo right as its foot touches the top of the dais, and then jump over Kracko and hit him after he finishes his charge. Make sure to do a jump that hits the ground after the Waddle Doo spawns, and then walk in the wall to spawn another star. Jump so that you hit the ground just after Kracko finishes his charge, and position yourself so that a small bit of Kirby is still in front of the pillar in the background. Inhale the Waddle Doo, wait for Kracko to start charging, then hit him with it, then inhale the next Waddle Doo as close to Kirby as possible. Jump over Kracko, but wait to press right so that Kirby doesn't get stuck in his inhale animation and become unable to spit out the Waddle Doo. Hit Kracko before he finishes his charge, and then jump and hit the ground after the Waddle Doo spawns. Depending on your positioning, you should start inhaling the Waddle Doo as soon as it hits the ground, or maybe a little sooner. You don't want to be much further to the left than I am here though. Jump over Kracko, hitting the ground before he finishes his charge, and then hit him with the Waddle Doo after he finishes it, but before he spawns the next Waddle Doo. Make sure Kirby is lined up with his back against the edge of the dais, and then start inhaling right as the Waddle Doo's foot reaches the top of the dais. Here you can set up a task bit on purpose, but you probably will accidentally because you have to hold down to prevent Kirby from spawning a star. After you finish off Kracko, inhale once. It doesn't matter if you hit the ground or not before inhaling, you'll end on the same value. For Kabula 2, the stars you're looking for are left, right, down left, and up. Stay close to Kabula and then back off to weave in between their second shot. After that you can just stay close to the balloon and away from the cannon. Then inhale once after the fight ends. For For Wispy, I try to make exactly 2 stars on these stairs, but it doesn't matter too much. If you want to do this Gordo skip, the timing lines up really well, so you can just hold down and slide in there, and then pause. Hold up before unpausing so that Kirby goes in the door before hitting the Gordo. If you decide to destroy the Gordo instead, you'll want to avoid making too many stars in the next room. The stars you're looking for here are up, down, left, and down. This fight is very straightforward. Just inhale every apple as close to Kirby as possible. So again, you can set up a task bit for the last apple. Then if you see the stars down left, up left, and down, you'll know you're on the right value for DDD. Make sure not to hold up as you spawn in here or you'll make an extra star for some reason. DDD is going to be 5 double hits, so if you don't know how to do double hits, you're going to need to learn that before you can do this strategy. The timing takes a little bit of practice, but the basics are just to stand right next to DDD, jump slightly before he hits the ground, and then press right and inhale right as the stars spawn. Specifically, we're going to do 5 delayed double hits, which just means you need to wait a second before hitting DDD with the second star. This will allow him to decide to do another jump before you hit him in advance RNG. After every hit, you need to set up another task bit by holding down and either right or left. It's important that you don't take any damage during Mount DDD or you won't be able to get all 5 double hits off unless you know how to do damageless double hits. That's all for this video. If you do decide to try this Manip for yourself, I wish you the best of luck.